The leading brands in the Bharat region have strongly consolidated their position in their own markets and are giving a tough fight to the national players. Although seen as a challenger brands, they command a strong market share, recall value, and trust among the consumers. Further, they have also transcended the global boundaries and are catering to the consumer outside India too. In the upcoming Fireside chat, our panel of experts will share their perspective on acting local, fighting global. I would like to invite Babita Baruah, Regional Client Lead, WPP, to moderate the Fireside chat session, along with our speakers, Sudhir Goyal, Managing Director, Madhav KRG Group, and Sudeep Goenka, Director, Shubham Goldiee Masale. Over to you, Ms. Baruah.
Welcome to the Brand Bharat Summit 2022 for what promises to be a very interesting conversation on acting local, fighting global. As we know, Brand Bharat is a force to reckon with. We are very proud of so many emerging as well as very successful homegrown enterprises and powerful brands that are not just consolidating their position in the market, but also creating value, trust, opportunities, growth opportunities, employment opportunities in the economy. We also know that this journey is never easy. There's a strong competitive scenario. There are challenges. So I'm very sure the audience today is keen to hear about the stories of two industry stalwarts that we have here. Thank you so much, Mr. Goyal and Mr. Goenka. I'm very happy to start off our conversation today.
Thank you, Babita.
Thank you. Thank you. My pleasure.
Right. Why don't we start with, there's no other way to express this better than to say Safalta ka safar, because all of us are on journeys, right? But no organization can be successful without a very successful leader at the top. Somebody who can motivate the team, somebody who sets the direction, somebody who inspires the team, stands for values, etc. So we would love to understand, and this question really is to both of you, how did your journey start? Kis tarah ke challenges face karna pada, safar ke important milestones, etc. So why don't we start with you first, Sunilji?
So we are not, first of all, we as Madhav KRG Limited is not very old company, Babita. We are very new, very young company, about 21 years old company. We started this company in 2000 and started the company as an SME unit. So we are into steel manufacturing, primarily into TMT rebar manufacturing. So we started in 2000 and it was first of its kind project in this area, in this vicinity. We are located in Punjab and district Patiala. So at that time, the turnover was small, the unit was small. We had hardly a turnover of 50 crores per year at that time. So we started from there and we put up another unit in then 2005 for making structural steel. Then in 2008, we again put up, took over a small company in the near vicinity. And in 2012, then we put up a bigger unit, the integrated recycling, steel recycling unit, producing TMT rebars. So that was a bigger unit. Comparatively, that was a very big unit. I'll say that during this journey, during this suffer, there were a lot of challenges. There were a lot of learnings. First challenge, I will say that we are located in such an area where there is a steel cluster in Punjab, in a place called Mandi Gobindgarh. You must have heard or you can browse it. So first challenge was that Mandi Gobindgarh was famous for non-quality steel producing cluster. So we were we were against the tide, who had plans, who had wished to produce a quality product and make a strong brand with our quality and serve our customers. So this was the first and biggest challenge, that you are located in such a place where quality is not preferred, only price is preferred. So we had to face lot of struggle with our customers, with our prospective clients, with our prospective corporate clients, because when you are placed in such a place, so customer का पहले सवाल यही होता है कि आप कैसे, क्वालिटी तो वहां बनता नहीं है, so either you are telling lie or, so we had to prove ourselves. It took so long time, 5-7 years we struggled, but somehow we had a will and a wish that we have to produce a quality product with a brand name of Jyoti. So we got success. God is kind. In last 20 years. Currently we are biggest manufacturer of TMT rebars in this area, in this region. And we have got a very strong brand called namely Jyoti for TMT rebars. So this is the small brief of our journey as Madhav KRG. Babita.
Thank you so much. You raise a very important point on quality, and हम देखते हैं कि that question always comes up कि that region is not known for quality, or will this new company be? And I think to just overcome that perception is a big challenge. So thank you for sharing that with us. Mr. Goenka, Sudeep ji, why don't we hear from you about your journey, some of the milestones, some challenges?
So, Goldiee was started in the year 1980 by my father and my uncle, and they are childhood friends. So, it's a 55 years of friendship and 42 years of business together between two families. So, now, they started very humble background. They used to buy raw spices from the open market, carry them in a rickshaw, get it grinded on a rented mill, and then pack it by themselves and sell to different shops in the state of Uttar Pradesh. When you say challenges, I think their whole lifetime was a challenge. I don't see any luxury they ever had. And the infrastructure of Uttar Pradesh is well known to the entire world, what it was for so many years. But certain principles that they laid, has kind of helped us as a second generation to carry forward this business smoothly and to be able to launch pad it to the next level. Number one, coming from a city of Kanpur, which is very famous and infamous for many other products also, but they ensured that in Goldiee Group, we will not make anything that is injurious to health, and we abide by it. Number two, they had a dream to be the top taxpayer of the city, and that was another dream, as Sunilji recently said. One was quality, another thing was people used to have that mindset in that generation to save tax. But my elders always had a dream to be the biggest taxpayers. Number three, I think any brand or any relationship always starts with trust. And the foundation of Goldiee is between two friends. So the foundation is itself trust. And this is where we value relations a lot. We have 1,700 distributors in the country today. And the first distributor also, his third generation is working with us. And out of more than 2,500 employees, I can say there are at least 300 who have been in the company for more than 25, 30 years. So that speaks loads of volume about the word you said, safalta. So safalta is by accumulation of like-minded people. A single person can never be safal. Safalta can only happen with a cumulative group of people who have together abided and promised to live that vision and mission in life. And as was very rightly said earlier, quality is something, because you cannot fool the consumer for a very long time. My uncle always says to run a brand, to have a business, is not running a 100-meter race, it is running a marathon. So when you are running a marathon, It's not about speed. It is about stamina. It is about timing. It is about keeping yourself aware of every nitty-gritties in life. So there were many challenges. Packaged spices was not the game in 1980s. People were still using a lot of raw spices. Uh, Marketing and communication was a very big challenge. We were not very cash rich to be able to hire Salman Khan as a brand ambassador as we have now today. But yes, that will and determination to serve the consumer was very high. And being fifth generation into Kirana, we were blessed to know the nitty gritties of the spices and the quality of it. I still feel in India we are blessed to have elders through whom we can imbibe these values and knowledge. Everything cannot be found on Google and cannot be learned. Thank you.
It's such a beautiful conversation. You touched upon friendship, and you touched upon the fact that you are committed to not creating or making or manufacturing anything which is not good for health. And the third is the highest taxpayer. And if I put all of these together, it just brings to mind that, a lot of us culturally, we are so rooted in our value system, right? And that value system finds expression in our business or in our professional life. And this brings me to my next question. And this is, honestly, it's a little free flowing, but I'm very happy if Sudhirji, you take it as, there are differences that we see between what we call MNCs or global companies. And I'm just making that distinction so that we have homegrowns like yours, right? Now, do you see any difference in, say, the value system or the way an MNC operates versus the way companies like you operate? And do you see that as an advantage or a disadvantage?
This is a very good question, Babita, first of all. I'll say that as steel, first of all, I'll talk about our company. We are producing like steel, and steel has gone very, very a regional product in our country. So very few companies are there who are present pan-India, first of all. And the companies like us having turnover of, say, around 1,500 to 2,000 crores, very few, the companies are regional. So as we are present in north of India, so as far as MNCs are concerned, I cannot compare my company or my sector with MNCs at all. Because, see, like I have already told that in last 20 years, lots of when you evolve from SME to large, so you have to face lots of challenges. Lots of things are there, and the kind of culture you want to build in the company. Like Sudeep has also mentioned, it's very important to follow your values, your value system. I'll say that value system is also followed in MNCs. I'll not say that MNCs don't follow value system. They have strong value system. That's why today in our country also, there are very good MNC companies existing in our country. So to imbibe that value system and to make your people to follow that value system is a journey, I'll say. In last 20 years, we have been successful to create that value system within the company, and outside the company also, within our associates, like we have strong team of 1,200 people within the company, and outside also we have dealers and distributors network across North India. We have about 500 to 600 network people and other customers also. So everybody knows that Madhav KRG follows a particular value system. They follow that, and they mean it. Whatever they say, they mean they mean it. So again, coming back to your question, that in comparison to MNC, I cannot compare MNC. Again, I cannot compare at all MNC with MNCs, because they have some different culture. We have some different culture. And one more thing is, I like to highlight here, Babita, that the kind of geography in which we are operating, the biggest challenge is quality manpower, and the kind of deep pockets MNCs are having to hire that manpower. The companies like us who are growing and evolving, we don't have such deep pockets to have to afford that kind of expenditure on manpower. But of course, we try to train our people in a big way, because there is no other alternative available with us. We have to train our people, either it is domain skills or it is soft skills. So we prefer to hire local manpower and train the people for whatever requirement is there in the company, and for whatever changing environment needs are there. So as per changing environment, we train our people. So we try to operate in a very professional way, and that's it. Yeah.
Thank you. In fact, I must say that, I have been following the group on Twitter, and I have seen posts almost every day on people, and it's commendable. Like, I've seen posts from people who are happy, who've posted it. I've seen initiatives on people, and I did have. So if you don't mind, I'll just continue with the conversation with you before moving to Mr. Goenka, which was on talent. You did say, and I appreciate it. Look, talent attraction is a combination of availability as well as accessibility, right? Can I afford that kind of resources? And where are the resources available? So my question really is, are you looking at new sources of where you are getting your talent from? For example, today there's a lot of remote working which is happening, thanks and no thanks to the pandemic. So has that changed the way you are looking at where you will source some of your resources from?
Yeah, very good question. So Babita, regarding this, I like to say that as we are into manufacturing sector, so in manufacturing, whatever shop floor working is there, so for that you cannot afford any remote working. Yes, of course, for office work, we can afford some people to work remotely, but generally we prefer that we should work physically here. That I have personally felt that that's a very good technique to work remotely, but in manufacturing sector there are some limitations by which you really cannot afford to work remotely. This is number one. Number two, as far as manpower is concerned, by sitting in this area, yes, that's a limitation, but we don't consider it as limitation. We try to hire manpower from our nearby areas, like we have Chandigarh, Tri-City, Ludhiana, and other good cities within the vicinity of, say, 100 kilometers, 150 kilometers. So we try to get that talent. Yes, there is a challenge, but you have to live with those challenges. And as I already mentioned, that we try to train our people. So I believe in more and more trainings. You have to hire whatever is available. That's a big challenge. As I like to say that, unfortunately, in our country, education has become a bigger challenge now. So the youth have got degrees, but the required qualification, the required knowledge, skills which are required for a particular degree, that is not available. That is the biggest challenge. That we then as manufacturing sector, and as in this industry, we cannot afford. So ITs and IMs, we cannot afford to go there. So we have to live with that tier 2, tier 3 colleges. So the only solution left is just to train the people.
Right. But in a way, it's also creating opportunities, right, for tier 2
Oh,
and
yeah,
tier
of
2.
course.
I feel, and that's where, again, I feel, and I'm just, the conversation that's going on till now is so much about also contributing to the country, contributing to the community. So I guess it works out in a way, but totally agree with, we talk so much about remote working and technology, but there are areas like yours where it's not possible for most of the jobs. It will have to be looking at what are the other sources of employment. So thank you very much for responding to this question. Mr. Goenka, I'll just move on to you and मैं थोड़ा shift कर रही हूँ to now the consumer because I come from the world of marketing as well. And it's interesting to talk about the Indian consumer. So have you noticed, because you are in the food industry, so are there some changes that you notice in जो Indian youth है आज के, right? Their taste preferences या brand choice में, do you see there's a change? And if there is a change, how has it impacted your brands, either positively or in any other way?
So I feel it's a very relevant question in today's times, and the Indian consumer has actually become very aware, especially in the last couple of years. We used to have a forecasting and a product development team which used to forecast what would happen 5 years from now. But now we have a team which decides, and the R&D is done thinking about the next year. So I think the awareness has increased. The eye on the label has improved because the Indian consumer now reads the label very carefully. Gone are the times when he would only read the marking of the MRP and the batch date. Now he reads the entire ingredients, goes to the social media, finds the relevance of these ingredients and the impact of it on the health. Number two, the Indian consumer has become very experimental. He would experiment different cuisines of the world, and the fusion is the word today. I mean, most of us, I have a son who's 5 year old, the younger one, and my wife would make uh, actually a pizza which is nothing but a khakra with a pav bhaji. And now he eats it like a pizza, you know. Now, this is what a 5 year old son wants to, that's innovation, but the mothers will no more give him junk food every now and then. So, this is where I think the innovation has come pretty much in all the QSRs in the country. Number three, the buying patterns of the consumer has also improved in India. They focus a lot on packaging. They want the original product on their doorstep within the least time from the farm it is being plucked. They will no longer have a product which expires in 11 months and they would buy on the 10th month of expiry. They would want within 3 months of the manufacturing. Point number four, the Indian consumer does a lot of research today on the brand and the manufacturing facility from where it is being produced. So I feel, and the fifth most important, uh, he has become a very vigilant observer on what he eats, drinks, walks, sleeps, because he will not accept anything which is just been marketed very well. And this is where I think your previous question I would like to highlight on that. I believe we are in an ecosystem where multinationals are like gorillas and we are like chimpanzees. And in the ecosystem to survive, the gorilla and chimpanzee both has to be there. What we learn from multinationals is how can a company be system driven? How can we have strong SOPs, KRAs, JDs? And how can we have a system driven company? What we have done very well in India as family businesses, it is more or less a people driven or a promoter driven companies. Secondly, what we learn from multinationals today, how can you be relevant as a brand to the larger audience? How can you be relevant to different cultures of the world with the same ethical values? Because in the end, Homo sapiens have the same value system across the world. They eat similar food. We need the same carbohydrate, fats, proteins, vitamins, fiber across the world. It depends how we present it and how we cater it to the world. On the other hand, what multinationals learn from us is the value system and the power of relations that we have with our people. And if you see in the spices sector, a lot of multinationals have actually entered the space of local brands, either acquired them or done private equity, because they know this industry in India, spices, is home driven. And all of us national brands have been through the test of times of 4 to 5 decades. It's no wonder the East India Company came to India because of spices, and no wonder that Vasco da Gama traveled all the way because of spices. So we are lucky and fortunate to be born in this country and to be in this industry. But yes, I think the consumer in India is very aware. He wants the world-class products being manufactured at the highest level of ethical and state-of-the-art plants and with global standards to be served on his doorstep. Finally, he will not compromise at any cost when it comes to health and food today. And he's himself become his own mom now.
Wow, I'm going to quote you on that. That's a beautiful quote. You're right. There's so much of awareness suddenly. I think Sudeep ji, it's also because of the information we have at our hands today. Pehle to itna nahi tha na, we would just talk to friends, maybe families. Today, I think internet has both its advantages and disadvantages. We know too much at times, but we know the right information. Just a little thing which is related to this, Mr. Goenka. How important is price in this overall scheme of things, pricing? Because you said the Indian consumer wo compromise nahi karna chahte hai, but is he or she willing to pay the price for it?
I think Indian consumer is ready to pay the price, but there is a segment. This is where the urban and rural will be two different markets always for any brand, may it be a national brand or a multinational brand. But the value that you get out of that price is very important. Let's say, for an example, a price of turmeric, and you say the information age we live in, it's very easy for him to find out the raw material of turmeric is available at what price today. More or less, he would also know the conversion cost and the packing material cost plus the freight and the overheads. So for the quality, let's say if for a higher percentage of curcumin, he would go to a value where he sees a relevance of it. But you cannot go overboard on the price. It has to be again realistic and affordable, because anyways he has more alternates today than any time before if you don't serve him at the right price.
Babita, this is a very relevant point Mr. Goenka has made. I'll also like to build upon this point that the Indian consumer is very, very intelligent consumer, be it spices, be it steel, anything to anything. They prefer quality, of course, they prefer quality, but at a particular price. Beyond that particular price, Indian consumer doesn't want to spend. So they are value for money. They like value for money concept only. So anybody cannot fool Indian consumer, I will say.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And we're seeing that across categories, actually. Finally, and what defines value equation also changes from category to category, but we're seeing that. I wish we had all the time in the world to carry this. This is so interesting and also very inspiring. But we do have a last question. It's not a question. It's really, for the audience out there, for emerging entrepreneurs and for all of us, what do you foresee as, say, 2 or 3 factors for success for Indian companies? What would be your advice? Why don't I start with you, Mr. Goyal, and then move on to Mr. Goenka?
I'll advise about the focus part. As far as my experience is there for last 25 years in the business, I have seen that we should have really sharp-edged focus on whatever we are doing. Until and unless we have focus on whatever we are doing, on whatever way we are doing, whatever we want to do, until and unless you have focus, you cannot achieve that success, that milestones, and your targets. So, first is focus. Second, I'll say, like we have already talked about the value system or the difference between short term and long term. Like Mr. Goenka has also said that it's a marathon, or you want to run a short race. So I'll say that business is not a short race; it's a marathon only. It's about long term only. Until and unless you have, as an entrepreneur, you have vision for long term, you cannot be successful even in short term. Maybe luckily you are having success in short term, but until and unless you have plans for long term, and you have uh, your all the, because I believe that only long term defines the path for the short term. Otherwise the success, the brand building, the story building, people are very very smart, and people are very very intelligent. People understand you. You are talking truth or you are talking lie. So we should have only long term vision. This is second. And third, I will say that for brand building, and for until and unless any promoter or entrepreneur has a vision, has a will to give a consistent quality, consistent service to their customer, to their consumers, until that feeling from heart is not there, you cannot build a strong brand. Again, for a long term, to build a strong brand, the promoter should have that courage, that will to deliver that quality, that promise for a longer period of time. So these are my advices to any promoter or young entrepreneur.
Thank you, Mr. Goenka.
So I would rather term it suggestion, not an advice, and something which we are trying to follow as we grow. Number one, which I call always, is check the pulse, keep it alive. What I mean by that, as an Indian business owner, we have to always keep the pulse checked. Where it is going. How relevant can we be today and tomorrow? We have to be future proof, if I use that word. And for that, most important, the technology has to be adopted by the Indian companies much faster today to be able to compete with the global brands. Number two, the average age of India is coming down by every year. Now, that is our consumer. How relevant do we stand to that consumer, and what communication do we make as a brand to the consumer of India, if that is our market? That is very important. Number three, and this is the most important, I believe, is to, as a brand owner, as a company, I always believe to retain values but hire the talent which can improve the average mental level of the organization. And and fourthly, which I feel we need to scale up. I mean, foreign direct investment is the need of the hour. Foreign companies are going to come to India. We have an advantage for another 5-10 years. As the Prime Minister has said it very, very relevantly so many times, think globally, act locally. And so I believe local, vocal, and global is the need of the hour. And at Goldiee, we have a great technology intervention. Entire country, 1,700 distributors and the sales team are connected through the mobile app. We have an ERP system in place, and we are on the verge of commissioning our largest plant of India, which is absolutely state of the art. So I feel India is poised and waiting for the homegrown companies to work on global standards and at global scale of production to serve the larger humanity than and have a bigger vision than what we had 10 years back.
Thank you so much, Mr. Goyal, Mr. Goenka. This has been not just enriching, but very, very inspiring. And I'm sure the audience have been left with a lot of more questions that I'm sure they can reach out to people like you as we move together towards the progress of Brand Bharat. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Babita.
Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.
Thank you, Mr. Goyal, Mr. Goenka, and Ms. Baruah for such an engaging and informative chat session. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we'll proceed to the next panel discussion. Stay tuned and keep tweeting using the hashtag ET Brand Bharat.